And all right, guys, let's get right into it. Yo, this is Set with Saying Comedian, man. I'm back with another one for y'all guys. Tonight we got a good little debate night coming up. Well, pretty much starting now. We got Piers Morgan first, and then we're gonna go ahead and do Tucker Carlson and Cuomo. Let's get right into it, guys. Appreciate the support. But first, start by double tapping that screen real quick.
Bringing down Medicaid and taking out these programs. They're talking about getting the waste and fraud out, which it is obvious there are 150-year-olds that are getting benefits, 300-year-olds getting benefits.
Let's not get true.
The waste and
you
fraud
have to rely on lies like that.
I want you to keep more of your money. Do you want me to keep more of my money?
No, because you're a millionaire, Dave Rubin.
How much of Piers' money do you want?
It's not just Gavin Newsom. It's a lot of the left-wingers who I would call woke, because I have no problem with you being a Democrat if you're true to your values. But this woke disease, now that Trump ended it, they want to get on the winning path.
I think the guy's basically the Antichrist. He's the devil incarnate.
Give me another example in the history of war where the attacked country needs to pay for electricity for the country that declared war on them.
Release the hostages, Piers. That's the answer. Release the hostages, and then I'll come on this show and tell you Israel should leave them alone.
50 days is not a very long time in the grand scheme of life. It's roughly how long it takes to grow a lettuce. With that in mind, it's quite staggering to consider that President Trump is today marking only his 50th day back in the Oval Office. In 7 frenzied weeks, Elon Musk and Doge have taken a sledgehammer to government waste. We said RIP to USAID and DEI. Tough talks began on an end to the Ukraine war. Tough tariffs began. A trade war with China, Mexico, and Canada. The Gulf of Mexico became the Gulf of America. The Prime Minister of Canada became a state governor and then became unemployed. Russia came in from the cold. Zelensky was given the cold shoulder. The leaders of Britain, France, Jordan, and India all came bearing gifts. The leaders of the resistance all came bearing.
Actually, that's actually a pretty good point that I did not notice until now. Yo, all of them came with business opportunities and willing to talk things out with Trump, trying to negotiate trade deals. But Zelensky is the only one that pulled up asking for a handout.
Silly auction paddles and pink t-shirts. And as the Democrats enter a Great Depression, the president's refusing to be drawn on whether America faces a recession.
Are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time.
Well, President Trump's point is that you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs. Democrats, meanwhile, are furious about the price of eggs and the fact they have no obvious leader to go out and say it. One self-appointed candidate is California's Governor Gavin Newsom.
By the way, not one person ever in my office has ever used the word Latinx.
So can we finally put that to bed?
Yeah,
we agree?
Where did that even
No
come?
more Latinx,
like,
everybody.
Well, I just didn't even know where it came from. I'm like, what are people talking about? Was it the pronouns? By the way, once you'd think California invented the frame of the pronoun. Now, I mean, literally, I had one meeting where people started going around the table of pronouns. One. There's been a hell of a lot of days between 2020.
Actually, you know what's pretty also interesting about Gavin Newsom? That, well, his son is like a Trump supporter. His son's a fan of Charlie Kirk. So it kind of shows that. I'm like, yo, I mean, your political ideology doesn't even go so far in your own household. That should have let him know something. Like he should have known something was up.
20 and today in one meeting. So it's not like I'm like, what the hell why is this the biggest issue?
Wow, I wonder why. Look, I've got a house in California. Trust me, everyone's been personally pronouncing for years, fueled by their governor, who was all for it until now he suddenly isn't. Suddenly everybody, it seems, wants to say it was all nothing to do with me, this woke crap. Perhaps the biggest thing that's changed in the past 50 years, though, is actually nothing 50 days. It's nothing to do with executive orders or diplomatic chess games. It's the total collapse of the insanity that got Trump reelected in the first place. We'll debate all this. I'm joined by the host of the Rubin Report, Dave Rubin, the former Bernie 2020 National Press Secretary and host of Bad Faith Podcast, Brianna Joy Gray, commentator Emily Austin, and the host of The Social Contract with Joe Walsh, former candidate for president. Joe Walsh, welcome to all of you. An appropriately stellar panel for this momentous day in history. Dave Rubin, it's only been 50 days. Can we all agree it feels like 50 years?
I mean, what you mean? It do feel like 50 years when every single day is like a groundbreaking news that Trump did something, that Doge or Elon Musk did something crazy that these Democrats are crying about. So yeah, it do feel like it's been a long time when really, man, it's like the first month for real.
Yeah, well, 50 years of success. I mean, you just laid out 10 bullet points that are pretty freaking fantastic. I don't need to repeat all of them, but I don't even know that you mentioned the border or the deportations. There is so much goodness happening in America. And by the way, that clip that you just showed of Trump, where he's even admitting there's going to be a little pain point here. You may remember during the election that Elon admitted that as well, that as we go in and hack away at the deep state, at these ridiculous budgets and criminal negligence that I would say that has abused we the people, the taxpayer who are funding all of this, as we do this, there's going to be some pain points. So I'm not sitting here telling you that.
It's like, and here's one of the pain points that was like, well, glaringly obvious that, bro, this USA money, this wasteful spending was keeping some people in a job. Yes, your job was to sit there and commit fraud on taxpayers the entire time, and now you're losing your job. So yeah, it sucks, but this has to be done because we can't just have people there for no reason, or the only reason is to just take take taxpayer money and hide it, or fund it to somewhere where we don't agree with.
Everything is absolutely great. Egg prices are a little high. It's true, although you might want to look into the Biden administration that killed about 100 million chickens right before they left office. But the point is that we are leaning into being a great country again. We are leaning into being the world's leader again. We are allowing the American people to do more with their money and not have this endless deep state, administrative state, blob, whatever you want to call it, swamp, just run their lives. And I think most people know it. And that's why the left has just been left with nothing. So Gavin is pretending he had nothing to do with pronouns. Gavin himself has tweeted out Latinx. Your people can check it right now. Fact, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, Dave, before we go to the others, the thing that would slightly concern me if I was a pro-Trumper American would be there's a new poll out today. It shows Trump's approval rating is quite significantly down now on Inauguration Day, notably amongst young men who turned out in massive numbers to vote for him, notably because of concerns about the economy. Plus, the stock market is, I wouldn't say tanking, but it's certainly.
I mean, look, Kamala Harris, like one thing that we're talking about the economy, we're talking about the job market and all that good stuff during the election. When your whole thing on the economy is that, oh, well, everybody needs to pay their fair share. We just need to tax the rich and tax unrealized gains. Everybody's sitting there like, hold on. You're going to make it harder for these companies to reinvest and give out jobs. You're going to make the situation worse pretty much. But then because because the government's taking in money, we're supposed to celebrate it like it's a win. Yeah, no, that's not how it works. And then here's the thing. They was taking in all this money. Think about it. They were trying to make the rich pay their fair share, but never really told you what they were going to allocate it to. Did they? No, it was all about making them pay their fair share. Not, oh, let's make them pay their fair share, make them allocated to here.
Taken a big hammering in the last week or so. He's got to be careful, Trump. It's all very well saying, look, there's going to be some pain. But if people are already starting to fret about the economy and that gathering.
Make sure you like the video, guys, man. Go ahead and double tap that screen for me or hit the 3 dots up there in the corner. Appreciate the support. Let's go.
There's momentum. That could become quite problematic for the guy who said the good times are coming.
Well, it could. Of course it could. If the economy does not do well, if it trips up, if the tariff thing backfires, of course, right? I would answer that as honestly as I would answer any other question. But I would say that largely what he has done is put us in this transitional period. So I personally do not know anyone that supported Donald Trump that has peeled away their support at this point. I actually do know a few people, and there are plenty of people, you can see them online, people like Stephen A. Smith, who did not vote for Donald Trump, who basically said, I don't know that he says he's a supporter, but basically kind of not been hysterical, even someone like Bill Maher. So I don't know anyone that's going in the other way. That poll may be right, but I would also say that might have a little something to do with the fact that the left has so imploded that some of the energy that drove Trump may be dissipating, because as the left's lunacy disappears, the need for the destructor Donald Trump is different. This is where he needs to be statesman Donald Trump. I think he's doing it.
All right, Joe Walsh, are you as jubilant about the first 50 days of Trump Part 2?
No, I agree with Dave's assessment of the Democrats. They're as helpless, hopeless, and feckless as ever. Look, Trump is Trump. He's doing what he said he was going to do. We're 7 weeks in, and there's a battle in the free world.
Shoot, 7 weeks in, and I like it. I'm okay. We're good. I'm getting exactly what I voted for. I mean, shout out, man. I love it. I love it. When you vote for something, you get exactly what you voted for. Man, this has probably been the first time an American felt like this in a long time, man. In a long time. I know, sad to say, but it's real.
Between NATO, our alliance, our allies, Europe on one side and Putin on the other side. And the president of the United States has clearly put America on the side of Putin. I find that troubling. We talk, and last thing I'll say, Piers, we talk about the economy. By all indicators, Trump was given the strongest economic recovery since COVID. You got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. I don't know what kind of omelet he's making. We talk about the tariff thing. Today's Monday. Are tariffs on? Are they off? I think the chaos economically of the first 7 weeks, Trump and not knowing what he's doing with his tariffs, I think have pissed off and confused everybody and has begun to damage the economy he was given.
Okay, I mean,
we had a president who had dementia.
I'm sorry. Now, given from who? Obama or given to Biden? Because if he's talking about Biden, I ain't gonna lie, he's delusional. It's like there's no way.
Stupid.
If you're talking about Biden's economy, no, he was handed a pretty shitty economy. In the last term, he was handed a good economy, but this one, I ain't gonna lie, Biden effed it up. Now Trump actually, there is one disadvantage against Trump. He ain't going in with the same economy he came in with in 2016. He's coming in with a much more, a worse one. And guess what? It's shot by the vice president of the last one who gave him a good one. Of the last president who gave him a good one, man. That's crazy.
For him, so that's a problem. And then to say that we're aligned with Russia right now is not true. We're trying to end an endless war, a war that has no ending, that nobody seems to be able to say, how many tanks does Ukraine need? How many ships do they need? How much money do they need? How many planes do they need? What do they need to win this war? Nobody can tell you that because they can't win this war. That's just reality. Putin's got nukes. So trying to negotiate a settlement and get to peace, I think is a good thing. But the idea that we've aligned ourselves with Russia.
I've not heard Donald Trump align himself with Russia against NATO or the West or even Ukraine. I've heard him get pretty rough with President Zelensky, which many people didn't like. But it may be because he feels resistance from Zelensky to actually get around a table with Putin, which it might well be the case. He may not really want to, but he's probably going to have to. Emily, let me bring Emily in here. I mean, Emily.
No, I just want to mention.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, welcome back, first of all. Welcome back,
Emily.
Economy.
Thank you.
It's welcome. And then please, the stage is yours.
Yeah.
Piers Morgan Uncensored is now proudly independent.
But all right, though. Honestly, turned out to be a good debate so far. And all right, guys, you have any questions, comments, disagreements? Go ahead and send in a super chat in $2 and up. We'll go ahead and read it out loud, post it to the top of the screen, and I'll also engage with it. Hopefully, we can get a nice little conversation started. Hey, all right, let's keep it going.
To get in the truth. 7-4.
Consequences of what Joe Biden did from his first day in office as president. And now I don't want to repeat the repetitive rhetoric of, it's Biden's fault, because Trump is in the process of fixing it. But the truth is, because of his actions, and the prime example is cutting off the pipeline in Canada, the oil pipeline, and skyrocketing oil prices, which then inevitably leads to every single price skyrocketing in the United States. We're still coming off of that. We're still coming off of consumers' lack of confidence. Under Joe Biden, there were two what could possibly lead to world wars that broke out under America's weak leadership, that now consumers are spending very conservatively because we don't know what the trajectory looks like. Now, under Trump, we're gaining our confidence back, but we are coming off of the worst economy because of Joe Biden. Now, Trump doesn't have this magical wand that within the first 50 days of office, he can fix it, but he's implementing the right policies on getting us on the path to fix it. And yes, there comes growing pains. Of course, it's not going to fix itself overnight, but we are coming off of the worst economy.
Well, I think, look, I would say, on that, it wasn't the worst economy. Look, America's economy has actually outperformed pretty much everybody else's since the pandemic ended.
And shout out my man Hellbat. He's like, here's one for you. Why don't you polish that 5 head of yours so it can truly shine? Now Hellbat. Who? I'm weak as hell. All right.
So it's all a question of degree. I mean, compared to the UK's economy, America's been on fire the last few years. However, Trump has been persistent in saying it could have been doing a lot better. And now,
I mean, if you want me to engage with that, I mean, I guess we can get it. I guess we can shoot shots at each other. I mean, shoot. But I'm not sure if you would do that, big dog. But I do appreciate you. I do appreciate you chiming in, bro.
Now it's incumbent on him to actually prove that. Let me bring in Brianna, who's been waiting patiently here. I thought that Dave Rubin made a good point. That the thing we didn't mention in the first 50 days, was so much we could have mentioned, was what's happened at the border, where it's demonstrable, massive, immediate success there. The number of people coming over the border illegally has been dramatically cut. I mean, do you as an American welcome that?
As an independent left populist, I think this conversation is exactly why we need a workers' party in this country. You opened, Piers, by mentioning that Trump seems to be admitting that there's going to be, quote, growing pains. It's not just an admission. Republicans have been telegraphing this and pointing specifically to Milei and Argentina as an example of the economic policy they want to pursue. This is not an accident, nor is it a consequence of inheriting Biden's economy, which I have no interest whatsoever to defend. But it is worth noting that Donald Trump is implementing an agenda that is purposefully throwing the country, if not into recession, then toward it. Because we have to ask ourselves the question of who he represents and who he is working for.
But what about
At
my
inauguration, there were 3 billion. There was a lot that was said. I'm sorry, Piers, if I could just respond to a couple of things.
Well, yeah, but I did ask you a straight question. I mean, you can come to the other stuff, but on that specific point about the southern border,
to the point,
there is, I mean, to me, look, as somebody who is described as an exceptional alien on my immigration status to the United States, that's actually what you guys call me on my paperwork, who's gone through the laborious process of applying legally for a visa to enter the country and so on. I've been horrified by the scale of illegal immigration under the Biden administration. It was completely out of control. Up to as many as 10 million people are believed to have come in illegally. And Trump, quite clearly, probably the most significant achievement, I would say, inarguable achievement in the first 50 days, has been he stemmed this tidal wave of people coming over the border. And I'd simply ask you, as an American, do you welcome that? Are you pleased?
Yeah, what I welcome as an American is upholding the law, our immigration system, and a path to citizenship. The significant backlog of undocumented people in the country is not a consequence of border crossings, which, yes, of course, do spike in valley and did have a spike under the Biden administration, which is now more in a valley.
So you're pleased?
In part because of Trump's policies. Of course, that is the case. But we also need to look forward to whether or not the Trump administration is going to handle the millions of Americans who are waiting for a path towards citizenship. And that incentivizes those long waits, incentivizes people taking illegal means. But this is the fundamental question that I know it's very awkward for people to ask themselves.
Hold on now. She's speaking very fastly, but I definitely caught that. Did she just say, well, because of Trump border policy, they had to seek illegal means? No, it was because of Biden's border policies that they was able to get such an easy ride over here. It's like, yo, it's like everything they try to frame it. Oh, it's Trump's fault. Because Trump wanted to put up that wall, they had to come over here illegally. I'm like, bro, no. All right.
Because many of the very affluent people on this panel are implicated by it. Whose policy agenda is Trump pursuing when at inauguration he is backed by 3 billionaires? Elon Musk, Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg? Why is it that we are talking
Well, they
about
are three of the most successful.
as
Well,
a
hang on.
footnote?
Hang on.
Wait a
They
minute.
are three of the
Wait a
most
minute.
successful
We're talking
people
about the
in the history of planet Earth. I mean, do you have a sort of ideological problem with unbelievably successful people
absolutely,
and
Piers.
job
I
creators?
mean, I think we all found that out from the left. The left has a hatred for anybody who's rich. If you're rich, they feel like you never went anything. Never went through anything. It was like that from the beginning. All rich people come from rich households. They just have this illusion about rich people. Even though some of these liberals are rich people themselves and they came from humble beginnings, they have this same illusion about billionaires as well. Like, bro, you don't think there was a broke back in the day, a broke billionaire who became I'm sorry. Don't you think back in the day there was a guy who was broke and became a billionaire? Of course there are. There are plenty of them. I mean, check China. Even though some of them are missing right now, but hey, it is what it is.
Yes,
in America
the
from
leftists
helping the
wage war
president.
against capitalists.
I would love to answer that question. I have an ideological problem with the idea that a billionaire, the richest man on earth, someone who is only recently an American citizen, spending almost $300 million to buy an election and advance his agenda, standing in front of the cabinet, and as though he is the president of the United States of America and pushing policies like a tax cut that would raise.
I'd have to ask him, like, man, was he really standing in front of the cabinet? So he was standing in front of the cabinet in the president's chairs. That's what you're saying? Because we all watched it, and bro was off in the sideline. He was in the bleachers. Elon was in the bleachers. Okay, so the way y'all framing it is crazy. But like I said, it's anything to make it seem like, oh, Elon's now in charge. Yes, some guy from South Africa is now in charge of the United States. Why? Because he gave money. And I'm just like, man, if that was the case, then we've never had a real president if that was the case.
Taxes on the lower 50% of Americans while making a tax cut for the top 1%. When you have the very top 1%, fraction of 1% standing in the room and advancing these policies, I think it's worth it for the American people to ask why the egg price conversation is talked about as though it's a footnote, while we're not talking about soaring housing costs, why nobody can afford the cost of education, why nobody can afford healthy food for their family, while nobody can afford car repairs, and why somebody like an independent Senator Bernie Sanders was going around the country talking about those things, turning out huge crowds in red districts that Donald Trump won.
Okay, Dave Rubin, your response.
It's so funny. You say Trump wants to advance his agenda.
Okay, actually, let Emily just say what she wants to say, then I'll come to you, Dave. Emily?
No, it's so funny how, Brianna, you just said that Elon Musk bought his way into the election to advance his agenda. Meanwhile, his agenda is to eliminate waste and fraud from the government, and he's been doing a superb job in doing so. And so far, the loudest opposition of what Elon is doing are quite literally the most guilty in indulging in this waste and fraud and waste of taxpayers' dollars. So it's ironic that you said that.
Okay, I want to play, Dave, a clip from SNL at the weekend mocking Elon, then get your response. Let's take a look.
So you two need to start acting like mature adults, okay? So let's begin with Marco. Polo. No, Elon. I'm trying to talk to Marco.
Polo. What is that? What's this?
Elon, you got to listen to me, okay? Marco is a very important part of the team, and we all need to.
Phase one of my plan is complete. Ingratiate yourself to the president and take over the media. But was taking this job a bad idea? A lot of people seem to really hate me. My Tesla stock is crashing and my personal net worth just dropped by $100 billion.
It was quite a funny sketch, I have to say, Dave. But is there a point there that Elon Musk might be getting some buyer's remorse about getting his way into the?
I mean, bro, if we want to talk about buyer's remorse, we should have mentioned that during Twitter. Trust me. I mean, like, he's all in. He's all in, and he got enough money to throw away. But here is the problem, though. I have seen that even in our community, that they're trying to turn away from Tesla. Oh, you drive a Tesla, you with Elon now? It's like, I mean, now look, this could either be bad or this could be really good for Tesla, because let's be real, there's more of us. There's more people who voted for Trump than people who didn't vote for Trump. So it should even out. And worldwide, people are more accepting of Trump. So I'm pretty sure his worldwide sales are doing just fine. That's fine. Honestly, I'm pretty sure he's doing just fine. I mean, bro, worth $500 billion. That ain't going nowhere anytime soon.
The real seat of power in America, but actually now copping a lot of flack. Do you think he might be beginning to regret it?
I don't think so. I'll give them credit. The Austin Powers callback was kind of good, but look, the rest. Yes, is he a little autistic and like this is the day of autists now? Yeah, he is. Okay,
Damn.
part of it. That's also part of his success, actually. As for buyer's remorse, I don't think so at all. I mean, I just watched. We played it on my show this morning. I mean, just over the last couple of days, he walks into the meeting with the entire cabinet saying that this is his words. He said, literally the greatest cabinet in American history. This idea that successful people being part of the government is somehow bad, that people who build things, who send rockets to Mars, and who build incredible things like, I don't know, the Amazon marketplace that allows you to get things at your house 3 hours later, that these people are all inherently evil. Someone like David Sachs, who's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, who's now heading up AI and crypto. These people are doing these jobs for either no money or virtually no money in their worlds because they care about America. Bobby Kennedy has said repeatedly that he has never seen a time in his life where more good, qualified people who do not need the headache of this. You think Elon wants the headache of having the Soros-funded protesters at his Tesla places like I saw this weekend in Miami? He doesn't want that, but I don't think he has any buyer's remorse. I think he is a deeply proud American who understands how great this country is, and it was heading off the cliff. So yeah, are there going to be pain points not only for the country but for him personally?
And you got to remember, Elon has like ambitions and plans, and I'm pretty sure America is one of the key parts in his plans to somehow make it to Mars. Like I said, you got to remember Elon's overall mission in life and what he's told us. He's been pretty transparent about this. He wanted to make it to Mars. Now, it's going to be pretty hard to make it to Mars without the backing of the most powerful country on this planet. Shout out in the U.S., we number one.
Personally, has it attacked his reputation? Is he going to not get invited to some of the elite parties? Yeah, but is he going to probably save the country in the meantime? I think so.
Joe Walsh, we've seen some. Well, hang on, Brianna. I just to get a joke. We've seen some tensions being reported. New York Times, I think, reported about Marco Rubio. Excuse me. Some tension there with Elon Musk and a big argument between them in the cabinet and so on. Look, you're going to get arguments between smart people in powerful positions. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I've followed politics long enough. But you've also got all of them in the cabinet are there because Donald Trump got elected, and they are therefore effectively elected officials in that sense. Elon is the outlier. He's the one that's just there as a kind of unofficial advisor to the president, but apparently with almost unlimited powers. Is that sustainable, or are you going to see a lot more tension creeping in between the official cabinet members and Elon?
Well, I don't know, Piers, how sustainable it is. I worry that it's not constitutional. And look, you're right. The cabinet members in Trump are going to reflect much more so than Elon, where the voters are. And a lot of what Elon and Doge have been doing, and nobody on this panel knows what Elon and Doge have been doing. Pierce, you don't, I don't. That's a problem.
We don't know what Elon and Doge have been doing. All they've been looking through these financial records of these departments. That's it. That's what we know what they're doing. That's all they're doing. Is like, oh, nobody knows what Elon is doing in there. I'm like, bro, yes, we do. He told us. These people are being as transparent as possible. So maybe like y'all liberals ain't used to this transparency, but yeah, that's what they've been telling us. We're gonna go in there, we're gonna cut wasteful spending, we're gonna look at these charges, look where the money's going, and send it back to the president, and then we're gonna send it back to Congress to see if they can defend this, and if they can't, are they gonna be willing to take it off?
We've seen a lot of stuff they're doing. Actually, they've been actually remarkably transparent. We've seen, for example, on USAID, we saw some alarming, ridiculous waste of money. So we are seeing what they're doing.
Pierce, we don't know. We have no accurate accounting of what's been cut. Emily, I think, talked about waste and fraud. There's been no Doge reporting on waste and fraud that's been cut. There's a reason why, and there over 100 lawsuits have been.
What do you mean? What, bro? See, that's a lie. There have, bro, Doge.gov. You can literally go down and find all the findings. They'll tell you where they've cut, and they'll tell you what stayed. They'll even tell you where they got a couple things wrong. Unlike you guys, unlike y'all, they'll even tell us where they got some things wrong.
Filed. Maybe I'm biased. I say this as a former member of Congress. Our founders made Congress the most powerful branch for a reason, because they feared a king. When I was a congressman, I would yell every time Obama picked up his pen and his phone and enacted an executive order. We're a million miles beyond that now. And a lot of this stuff is.
But this is the problem now. It sounds like Congress is like, and I mean, it may be a bunch of people, but it sounds like y'all are an oligarchy. It sounds like, bro, there's a big group of people that's controlling most of the power, and y'all Congress is the one saying the president can't enact these executive orders. Y'all saying the president can't do this, these people can't do that, and I'm just like, well, shit. Tell us what we can do. Tell us what we can do. At this point, you might as well, because it kind of sounds like y'all running this, and if that's the case, you can't even frame this whole thing as a monarchy. Nah. The way Congress operating, it's an oligarchy. Y'all taking the money, y'all controlling it.
Just fundamentally not constitutional. That should still matter.
But what about
But what does he cut?
All right, but
Joe,
let me ask you this.
that you're not happy has been cut?
Just to put it in context, hang on,
Dave,
Joe. I want to just. Marco Rubio tweeted today about the USAID purge being complete. After a 6-week review, we are officially cancelling 83% of the programs at USAID. The 5,200 contracts that are now cancelled spent tens of billions of dollars in ways that did not serve, and in some ways even harmed, he said, the core national interests of the United States. In consultation with Congress, we intend for the remaining 18% of programs we are keeping, approximately 1,000, to now be administered more effectively under the State Department. Now, there'll be a lot of Americans who say, good. If you've uncovered a load of tens of billions of dollars being squandered on stupid programs, and you're going to cull them, and the American taxpayer is the beneficiary, what's the bad news?
Two quick things, Piers. Again, USAID, most Americans have no freaking clue what it is. USAID is an independent agency.
But that's the problem, though. No, most Americans did not know what it was. That's an effing problem. The fact that there was a whole department that we didn't know about that was handing out taxpayer money to here, there, and everywhere else. Yeah, that's a problem. And the fact that y'all say, oh, it was public information that everybody didn't know. Yeah, that's still a problem. And the fact that Congress was the sole claim supposed to know about this. But when we go peeking into this fraud, then they want to act like, oh, we don't know what's going on. Now it's like, okay, so now it makes even more sense why we're looking into it. Because the people who are supposed to be looking into it are not.
Reason why every cut that's been made supposedly to USAID has been taken to court, because Trump and Musk do not have the authority to just get rid of that agency. They don't. It's a separate agency made separate by an act of Congress. Same thing with the Department of Education. I'm not a fan of the Federal Department of Education, but Trump and Musk.
I have to ask this man. I'm like, well, tell me what the president can do. Like, what is he there? Just a figurehead for Congress? Pretty much like what? So Congress to tell what he can do, or what bills can pass? I'm like, well, damn. I ain't gonna lie. The way bro talking, it kind of sounds like Congress is holding more power than it's supposed to. And he's being a little bit emboldened right now and is saying it. It's like, yo, it's like you kind of make it sound like everybody in Congress is really the president. Or honestly, the ones really controlling the budget. Well, they do control the budget, huh? So the ones who control the budget are mishandling the budget. We look into the budget that's being mishandled, and the people who are supposed to be handling the budget are freaking out. I mean, huh? Well,
can't get rid of it, Pierce. Only Congress can. The Constitution still got to matter.
Pierce, can I interject?
Yeah, you can, Emily. Yeah.
So I want to also point out, of course, Congress has the highest power. And when they allowed for USAID to spend our tax-paying dollars to go to allocated groups, I'm sure what they didn't expect was millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars going to transgender choirs and
Yep.
DEI in Ireland and a lot of the waste that Elon Musk is now cutting out. So given that we have the clear proof that our money that Congress passed is going to things that we didn't approve of it going to, yes, by all means, you have the authority to undo it. And here's another thing I want to bring up. When I went to the Oval Office and Secretary Rubio was speaking to, the group of influencers who came, he was speaking about Doge and Elon Musk. Why? Because we wanted to know exactly what their agenda is. We wanted the transparency, and they gave it to us. He pointed out something that blew my mind, where he said he and Elon spoke that morning, and Secretary Rubio asked Elon, why did you target USAID first, and what's next? In which he said Social Security is next. He targeted USAID because when Elon said, I want to eliminate waste and fraud, they were the loudest opposition. And Elon thought to himself, well, why would you be opposed to saving taxpayer dollars? That's when he did his deep dive into USAID to see our money is going to garbage. And now you're questioning.
Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm tripping, but because I do hear a good point. And it's like, yeah, it isn't equals. It's a balance of power. But here's the problem about that balance of power. Where's the balance of power when it comes to the budget then? Like, where's the balance of power there? Because it kind of sounds like college, like they have honestly undenied power. Like nobody can stop them to do what they want to do. When Congress want to spend money, they can spend money however way they want it. So I mean, and think about it, the way our tax dollars have been used is kind of been proven by that. Y'all say it's public information, but all these payments been going right up underneath our noses for a while now. So I would say this is like, all right, cool. The president's supposed to have undeniable power or just dictator like power, but I mean, damn, it's almost like Congress got dictator like power over our budget. And if that's the case, maybe we need to allocate the authority of the budget. Maybe 50% should go to this part of the government, 50% go to this part and this part, but not just one part of the government control the whole damn pot.
Well, what is Elon doing? He's going to go group by group, piece by piece, and start tackling all the waste and fraud. So the fact that you haven't seen the full scope of it yet is only because we're just getting started with this.
Right. And Brianna, I would say that what is clear is that the American people on this issue, on Doge and the waste that's being exposed, they are in